Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folarin. Well, my guests this morning are Captain Dele Ore, President Emeritus of Aviation Roundtable, on the one hand, and also Samuel Akerele, aviation expert. Well, with those two gentlemen in place, it probably gives you a clear indication as to, a very, very clear indication as to where we might be going. Now, Arik Air, as you probably know, Nigeria's largest airline is in trouble. In fact, it goes back to when it was taken over in February by Amcon, asset management company of Nigeria, company or corporation, but you get the idea. That's because it was alleged that they were in such bad trouble. They had 300 million odd naira in debt and haven't been able to pay, staff and other creditors. And if Amcon felt that if it allowed the airline to continue, it would crash, and they couldn't have that. Now, you might also know that Ethiopian Airlines is Africa's largest airline. Also, it is Africa's most profitable airline, and also Africa's fastest expanding airlines. It takes off on a daily basis 200 times and has destinations spanning 5 continents. So perhaps it's fitting that when you look at that, the largest airline in Nigeria, never mind its troubles, the largest airline in Africa, fastest growing, most profitable, and all of that, there are plans by our government to hand over the management control to Ethiopian Airlines for better management. What do we think of that plan? It hasn't exactly happened, but that's the plan. And Nigeria and Ethiopia are talking. They have been talking for quite a while. Officials are shuttling between Abuja and Addis. And perhaps I should ask Captain Dele Ore, former President Aviation Roundtable, what, sir, do you think of this plan?
Thank you very much, viewers. It's a pleasure to be here this morning.
We're delighted to have you.
And I think the subject is very close to my heart.
Naturally.
Very apt. It comes in at a very nice time. You said Arik Air is one of those that is the one that is in greatest of trouble. All Nigerian domestic carriers are troubled as at now. Mm-hmm. But you find that of Arik is a bit alarming.
A special case. And
it's no gainsaying that the story is now that the government is thinking, toying with the idea of looking the way of Ethiopian Airlines, which, as you described, fastest growing airline and all that.
Most profitable.
Yes, most. Well,
and by the way, I omitted to add that not 1 cent of government or public money is involved in the management of Ethiopian Airlines.
That's exactly.
Not 1 cent.
That's what makes it very, very attractive, is that the investors are interested in the progress. The investors are going to be looking at it. Look, how much is it? Is it making money for us? And so they have no choice rather than being efficient. They have no choice rather than being profitable. All right. But we must say that it is an idea that Nigeria needs a flag carrier, a national carrier, a carrier of esteem. Anything, any name you want to talk, you need a dominant carrier that we can call our own. It makes sense. Either politically, it makes sense also when we talk about diplomacy,
sense of national pride.
National pride and everything, But we must be very ashamed of ourselves that we had to pitch a tent with Ethiopian Airlines. What other choice do we have? There are several. The mere fact that we have seen from the Ethiopian example is that we don't need the government to put any money into running an airline. It has to be just setting out all the criteria, making the environment conducive. There's nothing wrong you protecting what you call your own. And that's what Akeo had always been preaching over the years. Protectionism is the name of the game way back 1944. And because so many things, security, welfare of your people, job, technology, and all that. Is Ethiopia able to give us all that? Do we have the opportunity to tap from their wealth of experience? The only good thing about this thing is that we are looking within Africa.
Okay.
Because the Yamoussoukro Accord is preaching that. But I want to go one step further, that we will be better off with the Banjul Accord, where Nigeria is actually pulling the string.
Okay.
We are the one to be pulling the string. We have no reason to go and be enslaved once again, to Ethiopian Airlines.
Okay, I'm going to come back to you, Captain.
Yes.
Mr. Jukutu,
this is Akrile.
It's Akrile, Sam Akrile.
I beg your pardon, Sam Akrile. That was another name in aviation.
Yeah.
But he's not with us, so very sorry about that. Now, I said that Ethiopian Airlines takes off 200 times a day, and you've managed airports before, I imagine, and so because you were an airport manager, and I just looked at that number. I wondered, first of all, just to give us a sense of perspective, how many departures we do, combined, all our airlines combined. Because I was just looking at that figure of they're so efficient, they're so organized, they're able to do 200 departures a day to 5 continents. Just by the way, how many departures do we do in Nigeria?
Well, I believe maybe maximum 50.
Oh.
And
just about a quarter, not even half of that.
Yeah, because when I was still on the field, there's a way you look at the pilots of Ethiopian Airlines. First of all, they are trained as engineers, aircraft engineers.
Okay.
So at times when they have snag, they remove their pilot's cloak, put on the engineer's one, and they fix the aeroplane.
Get the
They don't call anybody.
Oh dear.
So it depends on where you're coming from.
What the business culture is and recruitment culture is.
And they're not fighting north and south, east and west. They're not fighting religion. Those are the things that brings us down, bring us to pieces.
So non-professional considerations interfering with the professional aspects of the job, I would imagine, are hardly present in and by the way, it's not just Ethiopian Airlines that's doing well. I understand Kenya is not bad either.
South African Airways do.
South African Airways are all there.
Yeah, because I think it depends on the ownership of the airline.
Okay.
Who are the owners? Most times we have government owners, and they dictate to you, well, from Abuja, this is the way you must go. And these are people who don't know much or know very little about the airline operations. So when you have that somebody breathing over your neck, you just say, okay, let me just make some money here and get out before they throw me out. So the commitment is not there. The expertise is not there. And it's like you take a carpenter to be the Minister of Health.
So those kind of problems will bedevil any professional setup, not to mention an airline. And as Captain Ore just said, such is the versatility of the actually observed versatility of pilots in the Ethiopian Airlines that they actually hired as engineers. Now, coming back to the equipment, the figure is something like 66 or so aircraft that they have. Is that accurate? Do you have better information?
Well, you see, Ethiopian Airlines itself can be described as a small airline.
Okay.
You have medium airline, you have large, and then you have mega.
But we're talking about Africa.
Africa. I believe that South Africa has very close to 68 aircraft or so.
But they have a very modern aircraft in their fleet.
Very modern, and I think their concept is that just stick along with Boeing aircraft, and that way makes maintainability, crewing, and everything much, much easier. All right. But all the airlines in Nigeria put together, we don't have 60 aircraft. All the airlines put together. You know, company like Arik, at a stage, 16 aircraft. Peace Air, about 13 aircraft, Melville, 4, 5 or 6 aircraft, and
not all of them state-of-the-art aircraft. Not all of them.
Well, I think they get the job done, but they are not very competitive.
Okay.
All right. So I wouldn't want to go into they get the job. Yes, you know, but we talk about the state-of-the-art aircraft. Yes, for Ethiopian Airlines, we do agree that that's what they have. But I asked that question: why Ethiopian? Is there no other option? Ethiopian will be so predatory to us because they are here already, serving 5 gateways in Nigeria. And whose interest will they be serving? It's their own interest. So if we want some people that we can rely that will be very honest to us, we should not be looking in that direction, because the issue of ownership is going to hurt us, because ownership and control must have to be in the hands of Nigeria.
Okay, because I wanted to ask, so that people can really understand,
Yes.
maybe Mr. Kerry, take a stab at that. What does it mean in practical terms when we talk about Nigeria considering handing over management control of Arik Air to Ethiopian Airlines? Handing over management control. Where is Nigeria in all of that? Is Nigeria still in the picture?
Well, of course, Nigeria will be a loser. I mean, like Captain Ore said, I mean, Ethiopian Airlines will only serve their own interest. I think we tried this before when we brought in KLM to come and manage Nigerian Airways. We ended up with bruises. Then some people went after Virgin Atlantic, who were given a knockout too. You see, the problem is we are not proud of our own. I mean,
do you mean by that we have the requisite skill to actually fix this problem ourselves?
No, of course.
I believe that. I mean, you're talking about how many departures they have in a day. The other time I went to US and I was reading one of the magazines, I think it's on United, and they say they have 5,000 flights daily. So where is the competition?
That's where Captain said that it's still Ethiopian Airlines, for all of that, is still a small airline in global terms.
Very small. But for you to grow, you must be reliable. You must have very good equipment. It's not that you get to the airport today and they say that flight has been cancelled. Of course, you never buy their ticket again.
It's almost the rule, rather than the exception with our aircraft. Captain, coming back.
I think, please, don't let me forget this trend that you asked the question, do we have the capability? The answer is yes. Nigerians, yes. Nigerians are all over the world. If you go to NASA, top senior executives who are Nigerians are there. Go to Boeing, go to Pratt & Whitney, go to General Electrics, go to Airbus. So I'm telling you that we have even residents here in Nigeria, except a few of our brothers have scattered into the Middle East, even into China.
Administrators of television, it goes on and on and on. Engineers don't necessarily make the best. So maybe doctors don't make the best minister of health. That one is contestable. But it's really uncanny, because I am persuaded by what Captain Ore is saying, and you yourself, none of it is alien to you. But I'm still concerned, I'm still worried about, it almost seems like we don't have confidence in ourselves, seems to be what is being said here. Because how can anybody see people on ground unless they feel that there's this whole thing which you alluded to at the top, which is that Nigerians don't respect fellow Nigerians. Can it be as simplistic as that?
Yes.
Well, I think the way we run our country is the politicians who put people in place. So if you're a good professional and you stick to your ethics and knowledge,
you're going to run into a brick wall somewhere.
They don't want to
I have
see you.
control. I don't care what you think you know. I have control here.
Yes.
Oh dear.
They don't have any vision for the future. And we'll keep on quarreling over some I don't want to use bad words on TV.
Yeah.
Quarrel over things that are not actually necessary.
Okay. Olumide is calling from Bristol, if I understand heard it correctly. Good morning, Olumide.
That's in England.
Good morning, sir.
Bristol in the UK.
Yeah, Bristol in UK. I'm calling from Bristol in UK.
That's a long
Lovely.
distance. That's right.
You like to join the conversation?
I'd like to contribute to your program. It's one of the... I've been working for a long time now, and I'm really happy to call in. I'm a first-time caller.
We're glad to have you.
Good.
Thank you for calling in.
I would like to contribute to the program. I quite agree with Captain Ore, but on the other side, I don't quite agree. The reason why I don't quite agree is that most of the Nigerian trained expertise or so-called techniques, they are not really motivated with money. They are underpaid.
We have said that.
And as a result of that, they are doing, I would say, a shoddy job.
They're not giving up their best. Oh, okay.
Well,
you had talked about the lack of motivation.
Yeah, we have said it.
And you have said,
Yes.
that has been said.
And given the opportunity also, you are challenged to do a job, the professionalism we are talking about in Nigerian
Yeah,
can be quoted.
Olumide spoke about Nigerian trained expertise.
Yes.
Whereas there might be that component to it, the training of our airline experts, I imagine it's global. Wherever training can be got, you will find a Nigerian getting it from there. In addition to that which is being passed on at home, I imagine.
There is international standard below which we cannot fall.
Okay.
Nigerians also, I can give you one simple example. My very first grandchild graduated as an aeronautical engineer just last 2 weeks. He was top of the class in UK.
Okay.
And we have several examples like that where our Nigerians, they top the class everywhere they went. And I'm telling you, given challenges, given the opportunity, there is no reason why they cannot even improve on what they have been learned from classroom and excel. We have example how Nigerians who have made it good, who have also moved into management and also made a good progress in the management.
Okay. I was going to come to you, Mr. Kreel, but let me take Mr. Alamudu calling in from Sulere. Good morning. Mr. Alamudu, are you with us? Mr. Alamudu, are you with us? You're holding us up. Mr. Alamudu?
Yes?
Go ahead, sir.
Okay, I just want to ask that your program is not coming up again.
Thank you very much for calling. We'll be with you. Well, you see,
The regulars.
yes, I think he's relating to the fact that this program,
Yes.
he's not been able to see it where he usually sees it on the terrestrial station,
Yes.
TVC, and that's because the program has now been
Digitalized.
well, actually, and also
And
consigned to the news arm, which is TVC News, which is only receivable on a decoder, channel 418. So just in case Mr. Alamudu is able to hear me, that's the answer to your question, sir. The question about, you see, we made a comment about 200 departures daily as something that Ethiopian Airlines is doing. All our airlines combined don't do anything like that. Now, if we're going to get up from where we are, which I imagine is everybody's desire, the state of our airports is probably going to play a part in this. Now, you haven't been in the business of actually managing an airport. I wonder what, because that's a major part of it. After planes, you again have to have airports.
Definitely.
Do you think we are serious about becoming a serious player in the aviation sector?
I don't
Going
think
by our airports and your knowledge of our airports.
I don't think so.
Yet.
Because by the time I was sent to Port Harcourt as an airport manager, what I made on ground was the fact that power supply to the airport and to the staff quarters was at almost zero. And I had asked the former MD then, Alaji Baba, he was the MD then in FAN, that I need 2 generators, one 500 kVA and another 800 kVA, which were in the stores in headquarters. And when he sent them, he approved, we were able to run the airport better because we are sure of power supply, we are sure we can provide the runway lights, and we also extended to the staff quarters lights. And the woman, the staff quarters, sent a delegation to my house to come and thank me because now they say their husband stays indoor.
Okay, one moment, sir. Good morning, Mr. George. Thank you very much for holding on.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Thank you for calling, sir.
And good morning to the guest. Uncle Yori, I didn't follow you from the beginning, but I can deduce that you are talking about Arik Air being handed over to Ethiopian Airlines.
The plan to hand over the management control of Arik Airline to...
Yes.
The thought of it.
The thought of it, the whole idea. It's not a done deal yet.
It's shocking because one would have expected the opposite. When are we going to develop a Nigerian airline? You know, last week or a couple of days ago, I was talking about the need for the president to rejig his cabinet, and that there are some ministers who didn't know whether they are even in existence or not. I remember that the president talked about revamping the aviation sector during the 2015 campaign. And I stated that after 1 year or about a year and a half of the Minister of Aviation in office, he would come up with a plan as to how to revive that sector. We've not seen that, and I wonder why. And today now, you are talking about plans to even take the little one that we have and sell it out. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do.
Well, not sell it out. Not selling it out, but indeed, the Minister Plenipotentiary, which I think is, in lieu of an ambassador in Ethiopia, is saying that he hopes that this deal will come together for the benefit of Nigeria. Because it's clear, Mr. George, you are probably aware that Arik was prevented from going under, allegedly, by AMCON. Yes, they said if they had kept on watching, it would have gone under with its 300 million debt and other debts all over the place. And so the management and control is being handed over to Ethiopian Airlines because of its track record of being the fastest growing in Africa and also the largest and also has the most takeovers and also is the most profitable. So maybe go and learn from the best. But my concern is, how will Nigeria not be lost in all of that? If you're handing over the management and control, I'm a bit concerned. Well, the ownership, maybe we'll be left with the ownership, but the management and control be handed over to Ethiopian Airlines.
I think that's exactly what we have said earlier on, to say Ethiopian Airlines is the wrong partner to even consider.
Because they're also competing against us.
Yeah,
they
have
with
interests
us.
Here that
they have interest.
conflict with what we want to. And there must have to be a dominant Nigerian carrier. And then again, an ownership is a thing. Because we don't have the money, so Arik is so indebted, so somebody must inject some funds into it. But management and control must be in the hands of Nigeria. So it could be supervised by the experts who are providing the fund. But it's going to haunt us in future if this is seen to be a Nigerian carrier that is not controlled. It is not managed by Nigeria. It will not qualify for designation for international destinations.
But it will be flying the Nigerian flag.
You can fly Nigerian flag, but you need to be designated.
And you feel the way things are structured at the moment, that is not a certainty.
You will not pass that designation test.
Okay, please stay with us, and I hope you can keep the observations and questions coming on this somewhat technical aspect.
Yes.
And it also has national pride embedded in it.
Very much so.
Stay with us, we'll be right back. Welcome back, and we still have Samuel Akerele and Captain Dele Ore, aviation experts both, and we're looking at the proposal to hand over the management and control of Arik Air to Ethiopian Airlines, simply because it has an excellent track record, and no doubt, I imagine, not inconsiderable in the reasons that this decision might have been made to explore this angle, is the fact that the Ethiopian government doesn't put one kobo into the running of Ethiopian Airlines. I heard the managing director of the airline say so himself on television. There's a problem here. What our own authorities are considering that this is the way to go, you gentlemen are saying that, well, you differ actually, and considering that Ethiopian Airlines actually is a player in our field as well, and they're actually, beyond being a player, a competitor.
Yes.
How is it going to work out to our advantage? How is Ethiopian Airlines expected to do anything that will benefit us and be detrimental to them? I think that's the main consideration. So what are the options? Well, fortunately, maybe from your point of view, fortunately, the deal hasn't been closed yet. But this is something they've been talking about, I think, since February or so. So what are the options in your expert opinions?
Thank you very much. I believe that if we want to go the quick fix method, rather than invite Ethiopia, you can invite South Africa. And then, of course, at the negotiation stage, they must ensure that Nigerians who don't have vested interest will lead the team and do the best negotiation. And because you ask, how much do you want to put on the table? Right now, Arik has problem, finance. And there, anybody coming in, how much do they want to put on table? And then
at what price?
At what price?
You know,
and then it must be in such a way that it does not jeopardize the interests of Nigeria, but gauge also the future of our children and our grandchildren, in that there must be some industry remaining for them.
Arik itself rose out of the ashes of the old Nigeria Airways, no? Or was it a completely brand new company when it was set up?
Now you are about to touch the very sore part of myself.
In the meantime,
let's go there, because they are sitting right there on my property.
Okay. In the meantime, let me bring in Remy, who is in Ife. I'll come back to that. Good morning, Remy, in Ife.
Yes, I'm here. Hello?
Yes.
Yes. I'm just listening to the program and I want to contribute.
Sure, go ahead.
It's so unfortunate that we have a lot of experts who are Nigerian outside the country, but little are our leaders doing in order to tap from the resources that we have overseas. This could be advertised instead of putting it to an Ethiopian Airlines. I would think this would be a form of corruption too for our leaders to put Arik Airlines to an Ethiopian company to manage for us. We have capable people who can manage our resources, have it advertised, see what the problem we have, and then see who wants to manage it. So people who wants to come in, we know what the problem is, what they are facing, and how to manage it well. We have all our companies, all our departments flying free. Remember, way back to Nigerian Airways, it went underground, and nothing was done. And none of our leaders was able to look at the problem we have. We were not looking into the problem that we have in order to learn from what we have. So you learn from a mistake in order to improve and grow from it. That's some of our problem.
Okay, so you also are giving this particular proposal the thumbs down, that it's not necessarily the best. But Nigeria is actually in the process of setting up a joint commission to improve.
An Ethiopian Airlines is not the right way.
Okay. All right then.
That way should not be the way to go.
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much for your contribution. Ethiopian Airlines, management by the group CEO has actually confirmed that that Arik Air management contract negotiation with AMCON is progressing apace. I said it hasn't been concluded yet, right, but it clearly is the desire of the authorities here that that's the way to go. I don't know, that whole matter about Captain Ore saying that I was treading on very, very sore territory when I was referring to the emergence of, there's still that, but we still, and then the point has been made that we need a carrier, we need a national carrier. Definitely. I mean, we're part of a global community, and this whole business about, is it like having a Super Eagles made up entirely of expatriates? Is that the kind of thing you're saying, that if this is what you're going to do, but you have a Super Eagles football team, for instance, and there's hardly a black face in the squad, is that almost how you see it? And how fair is that kind of a picture? Is it as bad indeed as you are painting, is the point? Because after all, our authorities won't want to throw our assets into the river or into the water, but they are not unmindful of national pride. They are not unmindful of Nigeria's needs to not be robbed.
Well, like I was saying earlier, the politicians.
Okay. You think this is more political than commonsensical and professional?
Yeah, who will call government. The people there hardly know much about aviation. Let's say you put Captain Ore in charge as the Minister of Aviation. I'm sure he will not go for Ethiopian Airlines to come and manage Arik. To have the management and control, just because he is more experienced in airline business. And he has been there, though my big brother.
Yeah, I sorry, sir, for interrupting you. I'm just sort of imagining that anybody taking a decision on this scale, on this kind of a subject, is going to have to tap into the expertise on ground. But you guys are making it sound like, no, the politicians just cluster themselves away and come up with these interesting decisions. Surely things can't be done like that anymore, even if they were
shouldn't be, but that's what they are doing.
Okay. Mazi Okorafor, good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, our guests in the studio.
Sure.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Ethiopian Airlines takeover of Arik Air is a welcome development to me as an AC passenger, because I love their operation. Look at Ethiopian Airlines, for example. When they take off from Nigeria to Israel, as an example, they will first of all stop at Addis Ababa before going to Israel. That's a good thing, because they also generate money for their own country. Nigerian pilots, you see, what we have here in Nigeria, like let's say for example, Nigerian pilots should be trained and retrained to meet up the global challenges. If our local airline are here, let's take us like Arik. Arik operates from Lagos or Abuja to a particular state. But I was expecting all that, like Arik, when this applicant that is operating all those states that airlines don't go, the Arik should be reaching that place. I think they will make money. But just that they have established a focus of before, they still believe that they cannot move further. And the airfare in Nigeria is very, very expensive. Yeah. If the airfare will come down the way the normal say you book in advance in 2 months or 3 months, every day. I said yes, many people will join aviation or go to enter night bus. You see, many Nigerians enter night bus, not that they don't want to, it's not that bus you go to the tomorrow morning. If airline fares will be very, very cheap, I bet people will go there, live today, maybe go to Lagos, for after time you put in that bus and come back to, but because of the airfare is very, very expensive. Now, my question to our guys in the office in the studio there, you see, Nigerian Airways have come and gone. Now, what happened to Nigerian Airways? Some of their workers have not been paid up to today. Now, are you telling us that the government of President Nigeria will not go back to pay people that left office for the past 20 years or 30 years? It's not possible. Are you saying that we are going to bring all those people to come back and start working now? No. We have to look for the young boys and girls that are ready to work to go to our airline industry. not going to recycle. Our problem is that we recycle. We don't want to meet reality. That is our problem. Nigeria can manage this airline. It's just that corruption and stealing is our problem. We don't want to face reality. Thank you very much. Have a pleasant day in Lagos.
Thank you very much for calling in. Yes, Captain.
Yes, I think, thank you very much.
Mazi
spoken very well. But nobody is asking that the people, you see, in fact, they have expired. The law will not allow any pilot after 60, except with certain restrictions up to 65 to even fly an aircraft, right? But the fact remains that the government thinking they were going to have a replacement of Nigeria Airways is a wishful thinking. If they do not pay off the poor people, including my good self, that will develop the airline with our blood and sweat throughout to develop routes. So they need to be paid off, and the rest become very easy before they can now say, okay, let's form another carrier, but not necessarily with government putting a cover into it.
I know, as you said, it's a very sensitive area one was going into, but I imagine AMCON, I don't know the details now, maybe I'm sure you will. Wouldn't AMCON have taken over the assets and liabilities? And what you're talking about is liabilities.
That's exactly what we are saying, is that people want just they just want the assets, they want to abandon the liability. Nigeria Airways was the only example, and terrible example, of an ongoing concern whose assets surpassed the liability, and yet they still went ahead and liquidated that same airline. But so they have not even reviewed why that. So, and the same people that took
Mr. Kirele, are you also part of this, part of the captain's quote-unquote pain in this whole matter, or you are happily exempt from all of this?
Well, I never worked in Nigerian Airways.
Okay.
I was trained as an air traffic controller.
Oh, okay.
Well, you lost more than 200 friends.
Mr. Momo in Maryland, Ikeja, good morning.
Yes, good morning, Uncle Yori. How are you?
Thank you for calling in, sir.
Yeah, good morning. Uncle Yori, first and foremost, please, let's just ask ourselves, what is the population of Nigeria compared to Ethiopia? The same Addis Ababa, what is the population of Nigeria? And we need to look at that. Then Ethiopia as a country coming to manage Nigeria Airlines is a big shame in the first place. I would sat down on our own. Then too, look at it. Look at the population of Nigeria that travel in and out of Nigeria. And you know that Nigeria will have the largest population. And three, go to the issue of what we pay in tickets alone, where you are buying your ticket. You see the pains alone. And these people just come to just rip us off. Everybody just sit down, food is hand. I'm very happy for the program this morning, because I've been looking forward to one of the days that I've been trying to get you online on this issue. Now you want these people to come and manage where you cannot play a role. They just tell you what you have to pay, and you just concur to it. Nobody is there to fight for us. I tell you something, okay, already last time I was coming into the country, you see the ACs dripping water inside the main hall of our airport. Where is the aviation minister? Nobody is doing anything. Now today you want another country to come and manage your national carrier is a big shame. And I think it's not welcome. It's not a good idea at all. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for calling in. Really appreciate your calling in, Momo. I dare say, well, interesting. And now Mazi Okorafor was saying he's all for it, but then, other people are saying that, in fact, that aspect about our national pride, Momo started off by being rhetorical. Say, look at the populations, for goodness sake. You had said to me off air that it's a shameful deal if you come to look at it.
Very shameful.
So this goes beyond expertise. That look, this is not a matter of shame. This is a matter of getting well, and it doesn't matter whether the doctor who can treat you is Nigerian or from Punjabi. The important thing is let him bring his skill to bear, and let us get well, and then later on we'll begin to see how we can develop Nigerian doctors to have a similar capability. But you probably counted that by saying that you stand to be you want somebody to try and contradict you. We have the requisite expertise locally, is what you're saying.
Well, we have the requisite expertise. We have proven it in the past. Under my watch as the Director of Flight Operations, we Nigerianize every aspect of Nigerian Airways operation.
Yeah, but Mama was just saying that yes, the airport in Nigeria, it embarrasses him yes, and other Nigerians.
Yes, it is very embarrassing because you want to ask the question, we were remodeling. How much did we spend on this remodeling? And what did we achieve? That's the result of that remodeling. So I believe that a lot needs to be done in that area of infrastructure, definitely. And you cannot rule out the fact that, yes, the corruption was responsible for all the lapses, okay, most of the lapses. But still, that does not take the fact that we do not need a very strong flag carrier, and the flag carrier cannot operate because they must create a sort of hub where they will operate. That hub must be a very good, efficient airport where you can live and connect every city in the sub-region every hour on the hour. Until we do that, we cannot achieve it also without good security, good cheap fuel, cheap maintenance facility within that hub.
And we have, as you said, something in the region of maybe 50 departures daily, and we're looking at Ethiopia, according to IATA, having something like 200. Now, even 50, so our airports are leaking water from the roof. Yes. It's a serious problem, and perhaps, I don't know if in desperation, the authorities ran with... Reverend Dominic, are you in support of this whole deal about hand over the management and control of Arik to Ethiopian Airlines, which is a proven star in its business?
In Africa.
In Africa.
Good morning, Your I think something happened back to me. I should answer you straight. The answer is no. The reason no is this. No matter how Ethiopian Airlines management is efficient, I've been to that airport before. You can't compare it to Nigeria. And again, for me to go anywhere I want to go, I have to go to Addis Ababa first. It's an embarrassment to us in Nigeria. What makes Ethiopia tick is Nigerian passengers. They're not going to America direct from here. They're going to Israel here. Now, why do we have the passengers and we have the money, and we want a man or a woman who doesn't have what we have to help us out? We should talk about political will here. Why we vote out ETD out is this kind of character, why we cannot look inward and use what we have inward to solve our problems. How could you say Nigeria has no men and women that can manage an airline efficiently? How could you say that? Why do we say this? Why is this government is repeating the error of the past? All I'm trying to say is this. None of us is trying, even use Arik, because they're going to Israel here. Now, why do we have the passengers and we have the money, and we want a man or a woman who doesn't have what we have to help us out? We should talk about political will here. Why we vote out ETD out is this kind of character, why we cannot look inward and use what we have inward to solve our problems. How could you say Nigeria has no men and women that can manage an airline efficiently? How could you say that? Why do we say this? Why is this government is repeating the error of the past? All I'm trying to say is this. None of us is trying, even use Arik. Because when I'm traveling out here, I see Arik. And when I'm traveling, it's Nigeria Air. Which one is pride? We want to talk about it. It's the pride of a nation. A nation that has green, white, green, and you fight to that nation. You are proud. You are bold. You came into this nation, not only that you're not poor, but you are natural carrier brought you here, and we take it away. How do we go to Ethiopia? Let us go to America. I go to Ethiopia to America. I go to Israel. And it's about to Israel. It is where is national proud. During the last time I checked, they said Nigeria is the giant of Africa. I went to the giant of Africa. We can manage an airline. We can manage our football. Okay, look at if you also privatize this airline, it will end up like NEPA. We have privatized NEPA today. We are paying bill of NEPA. Where do we start from here? NPC should wake up. We voted on PDP for this issue, and they are repeating the same mistake. May God help us. One day we'll get it right. But this nation must move forward, and God will help us to get people who manage it well. Thank you.
Thank you, Dominic, for calling in. Even FAN has its issues, I understand, right now. So it looks like that whole sector I don't know how to quite put it.
It's in crisis.
So much so that I understand the chief there, the chief executive there, you know, something about whether he should proceed on leave. You know the story itself. So what, as you said, it looks like our whole sector is in crisis. We've had, there was a time Fani Kayode was in charge in that sector. Stella Odua has been in charge. The new minister exists in there. Is it that nobody knows the nature of the problem, what the issues are, and how to begin to go about it?
I think the problem started with the military misadventure into government in this country. All those people you have mentioned, who were ministers before, well, I'll try to be modest. I don't know how much they know about aviation before they came on board. And the Minister
and you don't buy the idea that they might say you don't have to be a pilot to be a Minister of Aviation.
You don't have to.
No, have to.
It helps.
But it's just that it helps to know what it's all about.
To have an idea of what you want to go and do in there.
Yeah,
if you don't have no idea, then you can be led here and there by anybody below you.
Okay.
And that is why really the current minister, a senator, also a pilot, he stands clearly above all the previous
head and
ministers.
shoulder above
Definitely.
the other ones.
And I'm sure that these problems had gone nearly beyond repair before he came into it. And they're looking, you know, stage by stage, looking into it. And I wish him the best of luck.
Okay, but at least the current minister, there's a sense in which this government has done things perhaps slightly differently.
Yes.
In at least having someone
courageous in tackling some of the problems.
Okay.
You know.
Okay. But you therefore are nonplussed as to this decision to consider the option of handing over management and control. It doesn't fit in with the kind of, shall we say, progressiveness of putting someone who knows about the aviation industry in power.
I think
as the minister.
Part of our problem is the state governors. Maybe because they travel on Ethiopian Airlines, will now say they want to have Ethiopian Airlines coming to their state capital.
Enugu especially.
Okay. Let me see if I can squeeze in Chidima. Chidima, please be very brief. Good morning.
Okay, good morning, Uncle Yori.
Thank you for calling in.
What I wanted to say, I'm sorry, good morning to your guest.
Good morning.
What I want to say is that when you say you want to hand over the Arik
management and control.
Okay, yeah, fantastic. The only reason why most times people want to hand over companies to foreigners is because they can get very decent kickbacks from those companies and it can be traced.
Oh dear.
It's as simple as that.
Oh dear.
You can never doubt the competence of Nigerians.
Yeah.
All right, thank you very much, Chidima. I wish I could take a bit more, but thank you. We're going to have to leave it there. Chidima solidly against, and to put it discreetly, she smells a rat.
Yes. Yes.
I wish I could go further, but I've completely run out of time. And you know, these producers are very, very undemocratic when it comes to matters of time. Thank you very much.
But it's a good thing that this thing is not being emanating from the government that wants this done.
Yes.
It is AMCON talking with Arik and all that, thinking that, you know, they need to have a very...
Because they need to get it off their hands.
Closer look at it that, yes, it may be a good idea, but definitely... Ethiopia is the wrong partner. They should look at other elsewhere else.
Mr. Kirili, you concur on that?
I agree. One would have thought that the people in government would have called the experts in the aviation industry.
Well, if they haven't done so, then they know that this is what is expected of them. Thank you very much, Captain Deliore and Mr. Samuel Akirele, for your perspectives on this technical subject. And so that's our program today. Join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I'll be back, God willing. I'm Yori Folarin. Bye-bye for now.